Hey, welcome back to the Fantasy Football Game Plan. He's Quentin. I'm Jeudy. It's week 8, and we're going to give you our favorite player props in this episode. Who's going to be an over? Where are the unders hiding? Drop your best bets in the comments. Help us out and hit subscribe, and don't miss any of our episodes. The NBA just gave us a fresh example of why the NFL still has a little halo of integrity. How you feeling about the NBA scandals?
Yeah, we've had sports betting a lot in the news this week, partly with all the investigations involving the NBA. We've been pretty fortunate on the NFL side. They've been very strict on as soon as anything comes out, that player. I mean, Calvin Ridley was suspended like an entire season for a bet on
Yeah.
another team. So they have been pretty strict. Now college athletes are able to bet on professional games too. We do like giving some advice, but all of this is kind of just meant for entertainment. We're not trying to make a living off this. This is just kind of a fun way to keep up with sports, and it's so involved in all the games you watch nowadays. I mean, you have on ESPN all of their betting lines nonstop. So
Exactly. I can't for the life of me understand somebody that, is making almost 100 million over 4 years being even slightly entertained by placing, even a $10,000 bet, but most of these are like 20 and $200 bets, and I don't see why they would even risk their career doing that.
yeah,
Anyhow, let's go on. Let's talk about how we did last week and how you can do maybe this week too following our bets. So, how did we do last week?
yeah. Last week was a great week. We went 7-3 for the bets we gave out, a total of a 4.9 unit profit with a couple of those parlays in there. And really, of those 3 losses, one was our long shot bet of Miami to be the lowest scoring team on Sunday. They did their part. They only scored 6 points. I thought we were looking good, but the Raiders did not show up to their game. They got shut out, which took that one away. And the other one were Jets tight ends, and neither of those scored a touchdown because the Jets didn't score a touchdown. So none of the Jets lines are there. So fortunately, we're kind of spared from making the same mistake this week. But in total, for the season, we are up about 29 units of profit.
That is awesome. We're doing pretty well. Well, let's jump into this week and see how we can make some money this week. What's our first bet?
Absolutely. We're going to start with Tetairoa McMillan, a player that we both like, and we're going to take over 5.5 receiving yards at a minus 113 price. McMillan, in all of the 3 losses that the Panthers have had this year, has hit this line. He's gone for 68, 162. Compare that to wins. He's only been 1 of 4 times. So if they're effective on the ground, then he probably won't hit this line. But if they're coming back and they're trying to keep pace with the Bills, that's how we get to these 55.5 receiving yards. The
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the key here is the Bills, I think. And hopefully it's not the Bills that we saw against Atlanta that weren't putting any points up. If we get the real Bills team, then they're putting points up, and the Panthers are going to have to score. And to do that, they're going to have to throw.
Yeah. And the other piece of this bet is Andy Dalton. So Andy Dalton's looking like the starter for Carolina this week. In his 4 games last year, he averaged 224 yards per game, comparing that to Bryce's 192 this year. So we're getting a slight bump there just in total yardage. Also, who Dalton throws the ball to. If we look at that 4 game sample, that outside X wide receiver, the exact same position that Tetairoa now fills, led the team in targets all 4 games. It was Deontay Johnson at the time for the Panthers. And in those games, he had 122, 83, 23. So the one bad week and then 78 yards. 3 of 4 great weeks for Deontay Johnson with Andy Dalton last week. So I'm looking forward to what McMillan can do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if this offense takes a pretty good bump or the wide receivers take a good bump with Andy Dalton in there. It'll be fun to see. What's next?
So the next one is in the same game. And I just want to focus on Josh Allen. Under 29.5 passing attempts. So far, he has been very limited, except for that one Ravens game. That one Ravens game, he aired it out 47 times. His peak since then has been 31 against New England. And then of the last 5 weeks, 4 of them he's been under this line, typically like dramatically under this line, around like 24.
That's interesting because we do think of Josh Allen throwing it more, but his wide receivers have just not been there this year at all.
Also, I think they're going to lean on James Cook a little bit more here. They are a touchdown favorite. Coming off the bye, I think they'll be pretty effective against the Panthers.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, we saw them leaning on James Cook and it was going pretty well. And then it's kind of fallen apart since then. So I like them to lean on Cook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These first two from that Panthers and Bills game I like. What other games are we going to focus on?
So the next one I want to talk about is that kind of, I think it's going to be a kind of boring game of the Atlanta and Miami. And I don't really think Miami's going to be able to do much, but I do think Atlanta's going to be effective on the ground. So the angle I want to attack this is Michael Penix Jr. under 1.5 passing touchdowns, and kind of lean in to say there's a lot of ways this can hit. You can either have Miami's defense just showing up that day and they're not really effective on the passing game, but you can also have just the ground game being so effective they don't need to pass it. And Bijan and Tyler Algier are having great days. But in his career, Michael Penix has only had multiple touchdowns twice. I kind of like in this matchup that favors the rushing attack even more so, taking his under in passing touchdowns.
Yeah, I like this too. I don't think that the Falcons should have to do anything except run Bijan and Tyler Algier for sure
Yeah.
against the Dolphins defense. We've seen the Dolphins allow so many rushing yards to, average running backs. I can't imagine what Bijan's going to do. And they're at home in Atlanta coming off of their loss to the 49ers. It all just sets up perfectly for Penix to not have to throw. I do wonder a little bit. We've seen some players get injured, and we've got some, injury forgiveness by the sports books. If you have a player on the under and they go out, do you still get it?
Typically, they're pretty good about it as long as that player plays. Penix is a little banged up. He should be starting this week, but that is kind of another angle where I don't think he's going to be asked to do much. But typically, they're pretty good. As long as they play, then your under's clear.
All right, I like that. Yeah, and if they've already got this lineup, we've been struggling a little bit to find some of the player props because they don't have out there everyone that's playing. So if they've got this one, they probably expect Penix to be playing. What do you have one more for us?
Yeah, the last one I want to bring up is Jeudy in that Cleveland Patriots game. And his under for 18.5 longest reception, really starting with, if you think about Dylan Gabriel, you're not thinking about pushing the ball down the field. He is not airing it out. He keeps it very close to the line of scrimmage. He wants to have those short completions. And we look at those 3 games of Dylan Gabriel's sample now. Jeudy has had 2 games where he hasn't even reached this in total yardage. He has had a game of 17 yards and 15 yards. So I'm going to take his under on 18.5 for his one longest reception. And then,
That's crazy.
yeah, the 3 longest receptions in that Dylan Gabriel sample, too, have been 16, 12, and 9. And then you get Christian Gonzalez as the matchup. So it's not a good matchup. You also have Jeudy missing Wednesday's practice due to a knee injury. And so if he's a little banged up, we have Dylan Gabriel, and then we're matched up against Gonzalez. It's just all green flags here for this bet.
Yeah, this is all stacked in our favor to go on the under of the longest reception here for Jeudy. I like that one too. I like that all these are home matchups too. That's kind of fun as well. Always fun betting on the home teams. What do we have for touchdown players? Who's getting a touchdown?
So 4 touchdowns. I kind of wanted to just start off easy and right with Saquon Barkley. We think he's going to have a bounce back game. He was very effective against the Giants. They just went away from him. And I think he's just going to get that bump of, let's make sure that Saquon gets rolling. We got our passing game rolling the past couple games. Let's make sure that we're effective on the ground. We know he's a great player, and we're going to use him towards the end zone. He's minus 155. You're not getting a ton of value there, but just starting off with a win as kind of the plan with Saquon there in that first spot.
I like it. If they don't use Saquon Barkley, I'm going to probably lose my mind on the Eagles. They figured out the passing game last week. Now they got to figure out how to get Barkley moving and into the end zone as well. So I like this one. I've got another one that would be easy. That would be Jonathan Taylor, but let's push it up and try to get out of the bad odds. Jonathan Taylor for a single touchdown is a minus 375. Here at Hard Rock, I'm down in Florida now, and I get to bet Hard Rock. They're usually pretty comparable with DraftKings anyway, if you are on Hard Rock betting. Anyhow, I want to push this to 2 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor, and that gets you up to a plus 130. Little bit better odds. When these 2 teams played in week 3, Jonathan Taylor rushed for 3 touchdowns. This is Taylor's offense. Everything goes through him. He run Taylor and score touchdowns, and that's the game plan for the Colts, it feels like. Even Woody Marks had 2 touchdowns. One was receiving, one was rushing, but still, other people have had multiple touchdowns against this Titans defense, and I think Jonathan Taylor at home can do it again. So I'm willing to risk it and go 2 touchdowns for a plus 130.
I like it. I think the Titans are one of the teams that Jonathan Taylor himself has more touchdowns than the total team of the Titans. So I like that here. It's kind of fun to find different angles, the 2 touchdown angle here at plus 130, or looking at like maybe a first half touchdown or even like a live touchdown bet for Jonathan Taylor to just try to find a better price of that one touchdown.
Yeah. Minus 375 is crazy.
Yeah.
Who else?
For kind of that next mid-range, we've talked about a couple dominant running backs. I want to take a wide receiver who was on a hot streak to begin the year, and now he's gone a little cold, but I think he's in a great spot to bounce back, and that is Rome Odunze for the Chicago Bears at plus 140. He's just been a little bit off with Caleb. That was a weird game with the weather, too, that they weren't really passing the ball at all against the Saints. So I think he's in a good bounce back spot here against the Ravens, which just about everyone has been taking advantage of passing, especially in the red zone against that Ravens secondary.
I have some concerns over this one, but I like it out of plus 140. I do like Odunze to bounce back. We haven't heard much from him in the last few weeks, and for the Bears to be successful, they need Odunze to be successful as well. My concerns come from the Ravens playing at home, coming off their bye week, and getting some of their defensive starters back. But that may make the Bears turn away from last week's DeAndre Swift, who they got to lean on both of their running backs, and be forced to pass it more if Baltimore's actually in a game. And it looks like we might get Lamar Jackson back. He actually showed up to practice on Wednesday. He didn't do a whole lot, but he was there. If we get the Ravens offense going, then maybe that's going to push the Bears even more, and we get Odunze in the end zone.
Yeah, I think if you have the Odunze touchdown slip, then you are rooting for Lamar Jackson, and you want them to be pushed every single drive to have to score.
Definitely. What's your long shot touchdown bet?
So my long shot one is one I actually took on Monday Night Football last week, and he paid off at a plus 700 price. He is significantly less valued this week, but he's still plus 320, and that is Tez Johnson, the wide receiver for the Bucs. And really this team that kind of stood out to me watching the game on Monday Night Football after Evans went down is this team was trusting, and Baker was trusting Tez more and more. Like, he made a couple mistakes. He's like a 150-pound rookie wide receiver. He was making some mistakes, but they kept going back to him, and they kept giving him chances, and his touchdown on Monday night was a really exciting play. I think he made like 3 guys miss to get into the end zone. He made some great plays, and he's just pretty electric with the ball in his hand. He's been seeing more and more targets. It's really just him and Igbuka and Sterling Shepard right now for that wide receiver core. So I like him at a plus 320 price. He did it the past couple of games. We also see, especially on touchdowns, I feel like players are more streaky, where we see like a hot, like Nakeem Westbrook, the Titans wide receiver, and then we saw it with like Jalen McMillan for the Bucs last year, where they'll just go in this stretch of games where they're catching a touchdown. It's fine them.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the Bucs going into New Orleans. New Orleans can actually score some points and keep pace like we saw them do last week against the Bears. They just can't seem to win games, but that's okay. As long as they're scoring points and making it fun for us, I'm okay with that. Baker Mayfield coming off of a loss is always fun to see what he's going to do.
Yeah. And so last week we hit our kind of Vrabel revenge game against the Titans. And it looks like you have another same game parlay for us of also bullying the Titans this week.
I do. Maybe that's like my angle. I was looking for one. It's like, well, what can we do? And I wasn't liking putting, the different games together. So I'm back on the Colts and Jonathan Taylor, but we're going to start it off with Daniel Jones under 30.5 pass attempts. That itself is a minus 115. Then we're going to pair it. This just gets you a little bump with a Jonathan Taylor anytime touchdown, just one of them at the minus 375. And then we'll finish it off with the Jonathan Taylor over 102 and a half rushing yards at a minus 115. That gets you to a positive 250. They're all so tightly correlated that if you hit one, you're probably getting all of these. The touchdown's kind of the iffy one, but I don't see any way Jonathan Taylor's not getting in the end zone this week.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think if you have maybe like a boost, they're offering you like a promotion for a same game parlay and you need to meet like a minimum leg requirement in that anytime touchdown is past the like minus 300 leg requirement, look for that first half touchdown line to just get in it because it'll probably come when the game's still neutral or somewhat close before Taylor's touchdown.
That's very good point because that minus 375 wouldn't work in one of those parlay boosts normally.
Mhm.
What
Um,
else do you have?
The other thing is it is National Tight Ends Day. I was looking for some of our favorite plays. We talked about some good plays on our DFS episode of Dalton Schultz and a couple of the rookies we like of Harold Fannin and Mason Taylor. But none of their lines are there right now, just waiting on
Yeah.
injury news. The one rookie tight end that I was able to find was Tyler Warren, back on the Colts game, but he's heavily involved right at the beginning of games. He's like one of the best wide receiving options, not even just tight end, but one of the best wide receiver options in the first half of games. And so I wanted to take the angle of him to record a catch on the first drive. And this one kind of has a variety of things going for it. One, just the Colts' ability to sustain long drives. That gives us a lot of plays and a lot of opportunities to have this catch. And just his involvement. He's done this the last 3 weeks and typically heavily involved in those like schemed up plays right at the beginning of games.
I I like it. My only concern is Jonathan Taylor runs for, 60 yards, and we've got so much in on this game already that maybe that doesn't happen. But maybe, the first pass goes to him, and then Jonathan Taylor gets to run for his 60 yards. So it would work. But do take a look at all of those tight end props when they are coming out, particularly where the receivers are injured. So I haven't looked at K. Dotton to see what he's getting for Tampa Bay, Dalton Schultz, any place where all the injuries to the wide receivers, Mason Taylor, with it being National Tight Ends Day, we saw that last year they had quite a weekend. So maybe there's something to it. And I'm going to be looking for those. They're just not out right now, so we don't have one put together. But yeah, definitely take a look at it. So that's it for our week 8 player props. Tell us your favorite plays in the comments for this week. Play smart, have fun. See you next time.